All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Huaishu Peng. I'm an assistant professor in the computer science department. I've been here for a couple of years, and it's actually my very first time to give a talk at HCIL Symposium, and I'm actually a little bit overwhelmed, but it's really nice to see many of the old friends and also new friends. I was told I have only 15 minutes, so let me cut to the talk. I'm going to talk about, as you can see from the title, small computational artifacts, and hopefully that can be used to augment our human ability. But before I get into the talk, let me see. Okay, I want to start with this. So this is a photo of my lab space that was taken, I guess, a couple of years ago during COVID. It's actually on the ground floor of the CS buildings, and you can see from this figure or this image, our lab is not a typical computer science lab. As you can see, that we don't really have that many of computers. Instead, we have a lot of personal fabrication tools, devices, equipment, hand drills, soldering station, etc. That shows the students in my lab and also myself is really into building physical artifacts or tangible artifacts or computational tangible artifacts that we're trying to bring computations go beyond the screens and into our physical space. And I want to give you a small taste of what we do here. Through the past couple of years, we have do a bunch of things. For example, we look into how to make the making of personal fabrication devices accessible to everyone with different interactive techniques. We want to make this process more sustainable. You can hear more about this from my student Ziyu later on today. We also look into how this bespoke personal fabricated devices to be used in different scenarios, wearables, virtual reality, etc. And also, we find like tangible devices are actually especially very useful for example, groups and people who are blind and low visions. And tangible devices really help them to augment and empower their life in different ways. And I went through the talk yesterday and I figured if I talk all of them, that would take me more than 2 hours and so. So I decided to only talk the later half of this about small computational artifacts and how that can be used in different ways. And then I read the talk again, it still take me about 1 hour and such. So for 15 minutes, I guess I will only zoom into only one specific thing, and hopefully I can use that to sort of inspire you in different ways to think about how small artifacts can be used in your daily life. And I want to start with this, which I believe many of you are pretty familiar with. This is just like different large amount of services, right? And nowadays, it's pretty much, I would say many of us have been very much use them in our life in different ways. We use them to help us to edit the text, especially for students writing thesis, can help at least help you to correct grammars and such, and help us for doing programming and generate really nice images and or cute videos, for example, right? I would argue that all the things you see here have something in common. For example, they are talking human understandable language and also provide us human readable answers in different formats, for example, text, images, video, etc. And they're also highly interactive. I would also argue that all the surveys you see here also share another things in common. That is, the benefit or impact of them sort of stopped at the edge of the digital realm. That is, go beyond your phones or the screens here. Most of the AI stuff won't really impact you in that ways. Of course, this is something that people have been trying to push the boundaries. I believe some of you have heard about this. This is like I think it's called Rabbit R1 or something like that. It's like small physical devices you put on your chat that sort of have cameras and such that sort of understand the environment and listen to your talks and trying to provide personal feedback. This is another example. It's called human AIs. Again, it's like a device that put it on your, I guess, shoulder or front chest and be always on and providing you support while you navigate through your physical environment. And I'm sure some of you have heard about this. All the devices you see here, they failed catastrophically for different reasons. But one reason I would argue that what you see here are basically devices with a camera and an online large animal surveys, nothing more. In a sense, you can basically say that all these devices that proposed here are basically smartphones that put it on our chest. So there's nothing really exciting here. And I would say that for an embodied AI or really interesting tangible interface, we want to go beyond just a camera with whatever AI is that is channeled with you. Another thread of things I want to show here is a different group of research, for example, from robotics, they're trying to bring humanoid robots into our daily lives. And these are really exciting, right? For different reasons, they are highly interactive and intuitive to interact with. And because they maybe looks like us and behave like us in different ways, they provide social and psychological comfort. And also because our environment are built for humans, the infrastructure, these devices are easily blend into the existing support of the physical space. I would argue, however, maybe this is not what we want for our future, that robots looks like us, behave like us, do things like us, and maybe in more effective ways. And there's different talks and different science fictions talk about the potential future of this. That might not be what we really want. The robots looks like us and replace us in different ways. Right. So I would argue embodied AI or embodied tangible robots will be something in between. It's not a pure camera with large animal service, or not a human-like robot that do exactly what we do, but something in between. And in that sense, the form factor of the robots actually really matters. And that's what I want to show with just one example here, and talk about a convey better argument human ability, not replacing human ability by giving AI a proper form factor. And this is actually a photo of my student. I know he was actually a HCIL student, and he's now a PhD in U Chicago. And what you see here is a small robot on his arm. And that robot, or that tangible AI, or embodied AI, whatever you call that, is called Calico. It's a little bit like a smartwatch, but different things is that it actually moves on your body. So it's a tangible AI. Well, it doesn't have AI at that time, but it's something that is tangible, understand the environment, but can also move on your body. Right? We spend a lot of time designing the robot itself. I'm not going to actually go to the details, but you can see basically it's a, let me see a robot of the size. I don't have a coin, but it's something like that. It's pretty small. I have two wheels. I have a brain here, a PCB, and can embed different type of sensors. In the specific version, I think we have IMUs and a magnetic sensor to understand where it is on your body is moving around, right? And to actually make the robot moving on your body or clothes is actually pretty challenging. So we did some of the research trying to retrofit the clothes with a very advanced system, which is basically a track ways in the earth, but actually put on your clothes. Right, so we have tracks or turntables to allow the robots to move along your body in a really reliable, fast ways. And here's what it can do. It can move, for example, from one arm to the other to the shoulders, or along your legs in a pretty fast speed. Actually, I think it's 4 seconds, it can move from one arm to the other side. And if you want to navigate the robots along different parts of our bodies, we have this turntable center hub pieces. The robot can move to there. The turntable can actually direct your robots to different type of different part of our bodies, left arms, right arm, torso, etc. Right, so that's what we have here. So what's that bring to us? What's the difference between the small robots versus, let's say, a smartwatch or a human being, such as stay here with a camera? Well, I would say the key difference will be the things that can actually move. And because it can move to different parts of your bodies, it can actually provide in-situ feedbacks that depending on the things you do and the environment you have, you're in. And in this case, my student there, Jiaxin is actually doing plank. He's not really good at this, I would say. The robot is actually moving back and forth along his back and providing real-time feedbacks on whether you're doing this right or wrong. That's something cameras in your chat or a smartwatch cannot really do, right? You can see. I'm not sure if the mouse is here, but there's a feedbacks from the phone, right? And what else it can do? Imagine this robot can be attached with different type of sensors. In this case, the robot can actually monitor your heartbeats with a stethoscope attached to the robot, and then you can provide heartbeat readings. And this can be used, for example, for remote diagnosis with doctors from thousands of miles away, and can help you to monitor your health in a very precise manner. That if you don't understand how to do that, the robots can help you do this with collaboration with doctors. What else? The robot can have different outfit. In this case, it will be just like simple furs with eyes, and you can actually interact with it. You tap it, the robot responds in a haptic way at a different part of your body. So it can be replacing, remind you from your arms, your back, and give you in situ on your body feedbacks. And because of that, it can actually be used as a mentor to teach you how to dance. I think this is the case. The robot's was teaching, I know how to do a breaking dance. I think that's what it's called. I cannot really do that. It's like how to move your arm in a way that looks really cool. And that's what we did. And we think it's really interesting with a small change of the form factor of the robot, that instead of having that on your chest, it move, it can really open up a new design space. And talking about dance, we think, what if we actually bring this to real dancers? So in a couple of years after we finished this specific project, we're bringing the robots to a different audience. One use case was actually started collaborations with a great multidisciplinary teams with professional dancers and professors from TTPS. Bill, who you just saw his photo earlier today from iSchool, and Jonathan from IMD, we start to plan what we can do with the robot for a dance performance. So what you saw here is a photo of a dance performance where the dancers actually dance the performance in the stage in the dance centers. And you as audience sitting there can actually control the movement of the robot. You're just moving on the dancer's body. So the dancers are doing her choreography on the stage. You voted what you want the robot to do from your phone. And that robot is used to connect you as an audience to the dancers. I think this is a really interesting idea. So of course, it takes a lot of time to really develop the ideas through the whole process. This is actually the first time Adrian, who is the professors in the dance department, for the first time she tried this robot and she got really excited. And from there, we started this 2 years long collaborations. Let's skip all this, and we developed these shows. I guess I'll just play the videos for 1 second.
Hello. Welcome.
So this is actually what the audience.
We're delighted to have you join us for our first test of the Dance Squared network. Please use the QR code to open
You scan this QR code and then start to roll.
You'll be prompted to interact via this webpage. You hear the following sound. And see this.
We have like 15 minutes of videos. I'm not going to play all of them, but you sort of get ideas. So that's really exciting because it's really actually interdisciplinary. And people really enjoy the show. I believe some of you actually were there. They're sort of voting what they would like the robots to behave in terms of colors and also which arms or like they want the robots to move. I will post the video links if you're interested.
Hello.
But from this, we actually got some of the really interesting observations. For example, almost all the audience are really excited about this. They voted very actively. They feel like they are in the control of the robots. But cross designs or cross different performance, we saw that collaboratively, all the audience actually voted in a very similar pattern, although they feel like they voted with their own freedom. So there is a question about who actually controls whom and how the technology through the robot affecting people's choices without them even knowing that. So there's a lot of like really interesting questions along that lines, and we want to tease out through the process. But this is just show small robots moving on your body can be used in different ways. And beyond the dance, I think I only have 1 or 2 minutes. We also bring the robots to different group of users. In this case, we collaborated with faculties from JHU. I think we have one here. We bring the robots to the outer communities to run I think 12 co-design sessions with them through the summers. We want to understand how a robot with this form factor is actually moving along your body, how that can be used for elder peoples, what they think about this, what's the concerns they have, what's the design they would like to have. Let's skip the details of this, but we have a paper on that. And to finish or wrap up, we have some outloops. We want to bring the robots to more peoples. So last fall, I believe, we bring the robots to the local community for, I think it's kind of Montgomery Science Day. We have about almost like 1,000 visitors that tried this robot. Don't really have to play the videos, but you can see the people basically just got really excited, especially kids. They really want to play the robots. They got super happy, and they want to explore the robots with their body movement. And that sort of led to our recent grant, which haven't been canceled today, finger crossed, on exploring the robots to teach biology and learning STEM by using the robots moving on our body or across different users. So I would wrap up my talk at this. And I would say, again, just my talk is trying to prompt you to think about the form factors of small intelligent AI that go beyond the screens and go beyond the static traditional form factor and what you can do with that. And there's a lot of things you can do for different peoples and different users. With that, I would like to end my talk. Again, this is Adrian with Calico. And thank all my collaborators, my students, and different faculties across different universities and communities. And I will stop here and thanks everyone. And yeah, that's all.
Okay, we have time for one quick question, and obviously you can grab Huaishu later if you have